How's it going, my bakers? Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Welcome back to another video. Today I'll show you to replace all the liquid in the bread dough with mashed sweet potatoes. So let's get in the kitchen and see how it's done. On our quest for ultimate softness, we have tried out many ingredients and many different methods. From simple ingredient additions to more complex scalding techniques, we have tried it all. There is little left to explore. Now all we can do is try and play around with already tested methods. Using some type of cooked vegetable as a replacement for some or all of the water in a bread dough recipe is nothing new. There are a few potato bread recipes on this channel already, and even some pumpkin breads. I decided to replace all the water in this recipe with cooked sweet potatoes. And to enhance the dough even further, I decided to use the scalding technique in this recipe also. Combining these methods requires a unique solution. So let's get on with it. Let me show you how it's done. Starting with the ingredients, we'll need some white bread flour, yeast, salt, butter, an egg yolk for the dough, and the egg white for glazing, sesame seeds to sprinkle on top, and the sweet potato, which will make up all the liquid in this recipe. You could also use pumpkin, purple yam, or even carrots. When it comes to the equipment, we'll need a tray with some non-stick paper, a pot for cooking the potato, a bowl for mixing the dough in, scales, a dough scraper, a temperature probe, a brush, and something to mash the potato with. A dedicated tool like this will do a great job, but a fork will work just as well. Okay, with all the ingredients and the equipment out of the way, let's begin the bread making process. And it all starts with the sweet potato. Wash it, peel it, cut it in large chunks, place it in a medium-sized pan, cover it with water, set it on high heat, let it come up to a boil, and then cook it for around 25 minutes until it's completely soft. In my previous potato bread recipes, I only replaced part of the water with potatoes, and I used the potato cooking water to make up the rest of it. This time, there will be no water, only what's contained in the potato. But as I said earlier, we are also using the scalding technique in this recipe, and scalding requires water. So I had to come up with a technique that I had never used before. And this is it. Once the potato is fully cooked, weigh out the required amount. I always like to cook extra just in case. Add the salt, the butter, and the flour to the piping hot cooked potatoes. We are scalding the flour with the hot potato mash. Since the starch in flour gelatinizes at around 65 degrees Celsius, the potato should still be hot enough to do that job. And so we have created the potato scald hybrid bread. It will make extra soft bread without much extra effort. I don't think I've ever seen anyone doing this. Let me know if you are familiar with a method like this. I'm not sure if I came up with it myself, or someone suggested it in the comments, or maybe I read about it somewhere a long time ago. Or maybe it was my friend Lan who suggested it, I can't remember. Anyhow, it turned out to be a pretty cool method, and now you can try it too. Okay, once the scald has cooled down, we can move on to mixing the final dough. Add the yeast and the egg yolk, and give it all a good mix. Egg yolks also make super soft bread, so we're just multiplying the softness here with every step. You can find a full video about eggs in the Principles of Baking playlist. Okay, now we can add the final ingredient, the remaining flour. Grab your dough scraper and mix it to a dough. It will be slightly sticky, but that's totally normal. The butter, the egg yolk, the scalding method, the potato, all these things make the dough stickier. You can wet your hands with water when handling a dough like this. It really helps a lot. Okay, once the dough is fully mixed, place it in a clean bowl and take its temperature. Around 24 degrees to 25 degrees Celsius is just about right for this. And that will be 75 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. If your dough is warmer, it'll ferment more rapidly. If it's cooler, it'll take longer. At this temperature, bulk fermentation will only take 1 hour. We'll punctuate bulk fermentation with one fold halfway through. So 30 minutes in, remove the dough from the bowl, place it on the table with the smooth side down, flatten it out, then fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle until reach point where you started. Then flip it smooth side up again, tighten it against the table, and that's your fold done. Place the dough back into the bowl, cover it up, and leave it to bulk ferment for another 30 minutes. You could also do cold bulk fermentation. In that case, refrigerate the dough right after mixing, then pull it out after 30 minutes and give it a fold. Place it back into the fridge and cold ferment it for 18 to 24 hours. But no matter if you are fermenting at a room temperature or in the fridge, once bulk fermentation is over, we can weigh our dough, divide it, and pre-shape it. I ended up making 4 huge buns. If you want your buns to be smaller, divide the dough into 5 or 6 pieces instead of 4. The pre-shaping step is identical to the fold we performed earlier. So flatten the dough, fold the edge over the middle, go around in a circle to reach point where it started. Then flip it smooth side up again, tighten it against the table, and that's the pre-shaping done. We want the buns to be nice and uniform, and pre-shaping pretty much guarantees that result. Once your dough balls have been shaped, cover them up and leave them to rest for around 20 minutes. If you do cold bulk fermentation, you might want to let them rest for 30 minutes, because the dough will be a bit stiffer. When it comes to final shaping, there's nothing new here. Place the dough on the table with the smooth side down, flatten it out, then fold it over the middle whilst going around in a circle to reach point where you started. Flip it smooth side up again, tighten it against the table, and finally you can pick it up and pinch the seam together at the bottom. You don't want to shape these dough balls too tight, because they will tear. I usually fold them around 8 times whilst going around in a circle. Once the dough balls have been shaped, place them on a baking tray with some non-stick paper, cover them up, leave them to proof. They should take around 1 hour. But if you do the cold bulk fermentation, they may take an hour and a half to 2 hours. They should be at least twice the size before they go in the oven. Whilst the dough is fermenting, you can start preheating the oven to 170 degrees Celsius, 340 Fahrenheit, fan on, and that'll be 190 Celsius or 375 Fahrenheit, fan off. These things definitely look ready for the oven. They're huge. They have a nice wobble to them. If I let them ferment for any longer, they'll overproof. There are just a couple things left to do before we bake them. Glaze them with the egg white and sprinkle them with sesame seeds. You can use any glaze that you like on these buns. I was just trying to be efficient by using the yolk in the dough and the white for the glaze. If you want to make these buns vegan friendly, replace the butter in the dough with a plant-based alternative and replace the egg yolk with 10 grams of extra fat. And then use something like coconut milk for glazing. But whatever you do, after sprinkling on the seeds, press them in gently using the palms of your hands. This will really make them stick. Okay, these bad boys are ready for the oven, so let's get them in there. They'll take around 25 minutes to fully bake. And if your oven's like mine and bakes things more on one side than the other, turn the tray around halfway through the bake to get a nice even crust color. Once your buns are nicely golden brown all over, they're ready. And these bad boys definitely look ready to me. And there you have it. That's how you combine scalding and the use of potatoes in the same recipe. I think it's quite an interesting technique. And the results are great. The interior of this bun has a beautiful orange color. It has a super soft and tender texture. The sweet potato brings its own flavor and sweetness, so there is no need for any added sugar. And both the sweet potato and the scald will ensure that these buns stay softer for longer. I don't know about you, but bread doesn't last long in my home. I like to eat it fresh on the same day or perhaps on the next day. So personally, I don't use any of these techniques for extending shelf life. I use them to make the bread softer. And I also use them for the fun of it. Experimenting, trying and failing, finding out something new, that is what it's all about. Of course I do appreciate people baking the same breads over and over again, trying to perfect them. But that is not for me. I like variety. That is why I rarely bake the same thing twice. Saying that, this method will definitely have to be used again, because I was very happy with the results here. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.